That drilled through your brains, didn't it?
What the hell was that?
That's a tone so that you can, when it runs back into your audio system, your camera, it records the audio there. It goes beep on the audio, plus on your camera. So then you can just match it up.
So that's not actually recorded, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it is recorded?
Yeah, it's recording now.
Talking about bloody brain damage.
Welcome to Seeking Focus, episode 7438.
No, it's not. It's 35, man. What are you talking about?
Welcome to Seeking Focus, a podcast that provides photographers and videographers with a place to critically compare technology, share ideas, and enhance their skills.
Well, that was something different.
Okay, let's... How are you, Marty?
I'm doing all right, man. It's been a few weeks now. I just got back from overseas. I had to go visit family overseas in Poland, deal with family issues. So it wasn't much of a holiday, but it was really good to just sort of go there and obviously be able to see the countryside, to be able to see what's going on, to see old family. It was just sort of, good. You know what I mean? But I tell you what, though, I don't know about Greece, but Poland is so expensive, man. I don't know, Europe in general, if it's really expensive, but Poland, like, we had 2 coffees, and each coffee was like $7-8 Aussie.
Oh, it's pretty much the going rate here at Melbourne anyway.
Is it? I don't even know. No, I thought it was about $5, wasn't it?
$5 to $7, depending on where you go. And depending on...
You
know
what?
Did you get those little biscottis on the side?
No, it was just crappy coffee. I mean, Melbourne coffee is the best, right?
Mm-hmm.
But over there, the coffee was, number 1, horrible. Number 2, now expensive. And number 3, you have to pay extra for the cups. So if you go to Macca's, right, they actually say, do you want to dine in or take away? And then if you say take away, they charge you extra like 30 cents.
Sorry,
yeah,
this is freaky. If it was me, being the scumbag that I am, I'd say, just pour it on the tray. Pour it on the tray. I'll lick it out of the tray. Yeah.
But yeah, overall it was pretty interesting. I think because I come from like a small town, and it was just really good to see the life progress because Poland just celebrated a 20th anniversary of European Union, right? And to be honest with you, it's, how Eastern Europe was like totally different than Western Europe and all that sort of shit. It's, about 15, 20 years ago, more maybe. And now, like, I went to Warsaw, right? And everyone speaks English, man. Like, literally everyone. They've got bars, pubs, you can just go in anywhere. You can speak English, no problems whatsoever. And I was just like... They progressed a fair bit, which is quite impressive. So it's great. I don't know. How are you going, man?
Yeah, I'm all right. So I had a question. Sorry, back to you. I'm not letting you get away. You've just gone overseas, right? And that was all we're going to get. So, did you take your camera with you?
I did.
And did you take any photos or video?
Yeah, I did. I had to do a bit of real estate stuff there. So I took.
So it was a paid gig.
Kind of, yeah. Kind of. It's I'm still waiting to get paid for it, but yeah. I took one of the drones, the little Mini 3, DJI Mini 3, and I took my A7S A7 IV with a 24-70 lens. So I thought this probably be the best sort of versatile, and for basically portraits / I guess real estate, if you want to sort of say that, and I took my Insta360 as well. So I've got an Insta360 RS1, which is I do all the 360 tours with, and that was actually quite interesting. I mean, just to do like document certain things with that camera is just quite interesting. But yeah, so I did a bit of photography, not a lot. Primarily I had to deal with lawyers and other things, which was a bit of a killer. But
did you get any photos of the lawyers?
No, he was an old grumpy old man.
But no video?
No, just you know what? The main video was with the drone. So
See,
aerial.
you were in contact with me when you were overseas, and you
Yeah.
sent me photos, right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, this is so beautiful.
Mm.
But I haven't seen any photos since you've been back.
No, because I haven't taken that much.
But the funny thing is, when you travel, you take a lot of photos, but you never actually release that many of them, which is interesting. Like you were in not Alaska,
Antarctica.
sorry,
Mm.
and I think I've seen like 4 photos, and you were up there for
I
like
think
what, 2,
it
3
kind of
weeks?
goes back to our previous episode, the social media episode. That kind of, like as much as I want to be on it and I want to show it off and all that sort of jazz, it's sort of, it's a tricky one, man, because I don't really feel like posting a lot, but I should.
You should.
I
You've got
guess.
some amazing photos, and
Yeah, but so
you'll-
you do as well.
yeah,
but
Yeah, but my photos are just of myself. I mean, sure, I'm good looking and everything, but you wouldn't post those, or not too many of them at least. Maybe 50 or so. But yeah, no, you've got some amazing photos, and I wish you would actually release some of them because you've done some amazing stuff, especially
yeah.
the ones that I saw in the Antarctic.
Antarctica.
Yeah, sorry.
Mhm.
They were amazing, and you never released any of them. I was just like, why? You haven't printed any of them up. I'm not looking at any of them up on the wall.
Yeah, you're right. I have actually, because I've got behind you, they've got Amalfi Coast that I've been to. I've got St Kilda Beach that I went to as well. Behind me, there's India.
Mhm.
And
you used to print out everything.
yeah, because I used to have a printer. You know what I mean? I used to have big format printer, and I had to.
That's right. You sold that off.
Yeah, I did sell that off,
Yeah.
and now I don't really. I don't know. To be honest with you, now primarily work-wise, I do video work.
Mm.
So for client, like I've recently had a couple of shoots, and to be honest with you, like, and to be honest with you, like I've actually, how can I say this without sounding really bad, but it's becoming work now.
I was going to say that, but I didn't want to. You've lost that
Yeah.
loving feeling.
It kind of did, because remember when we used to go out and, go into the city, walk around the city, have a beer, take photos till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes.
Almost every second day as well.
You know what I mean? It was great. It was fantastic. But now it's sort of, because I'm dealing with so many clients, I'm still dealing with so many, I guess, it's just, that love and feeling is kind of, it's becoming a chore almost. You know what I mean? Like you have to just say, the other day I had a client ringing me up and they go, oh, we want to do this shit for charity and whatever else. And yep, no worries, I can do it. It's going to cost you, X amount of money. So they're like, well, it's for charity. And I said, no, I don't care anymore. Just if you want a video from me, it's going to cost you. So it's just like a bit of an asshole thing. But, I don't know if it's a...
You do get to a point in your life where everything starts becoming about money. And that when I was working exclusively in video and photo, that's what happened to me. And I found that I lost track of, well, what I look back now and think to myself were the important things. And that love of going out and, basically doing photo shoots, hanging out with friends, going to different locations, doing stupid things at 3 o'clock in the morning, And I did regret that because it did become just like a chore. It was like go home, edit, listen to the crap from the client, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that, fixing it up.
And that's what I was scared of. That's what I was scared of when I started this business. You know what I mean? I was scared.
It happens.
It does. And I was scared not to go, full steam ahead with it because I just knew that one day I'm going to turn around, just like my IT career, you know what I mean? I did it for 16 years, loved it initially, and at the end, it was just turned around and just like, I don't want to do this anymore, you know what I mean?
It changes you.
So it's sort of, to a point now where as much as I love still doing it, and I love all the gear, and I love all the tech, and I love all the drones, and all that sort of jazz, but yeah, it's you sometimes have to have a break in a way, I think. And I think maybe it's the time for me to sort of, just step back a little bit and just smell the roses again in a way.
And ring up that charity organisation and say, look, hey, sorry, you're speaking to my twin, my evil twin. Yeah, I can do it. I'm sure you've got an evil twin somewhere along the lines, but
yeah, I am evil sometimes. It's you know what though, like there's a couple of things coming up, and I'll probably talk about it next episode. But it's sort of to a point now where you kind of go, I've spent so much money on this gear, I need to get my money back. So therefore, I'm going to charge you whether you like it or not. Stuff you, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Feeling well.
What's new with you?
Honestly, not very much. Trying to juggle work, especially during the peak season where, suddenly I went from just chilling and doing my thing to suddenly working till 10 o'clock every night without fail, getting a 15-minute lunch break, getting the odd photography or video job, one per week or so on. I feel run down all the time. I've let myself go. As you can see, I've put on like 4,000 kilos. I feel like a whale most of the time. But this is my winter skin, so it's all right. I'm hibernating, so
that's it. It. Me too.
But in saying that, I'm trying to change my life a little bit, getting on the bike a little bit more. I'm not sure if I've probably mentioned it a few times. I'm was an avid cyclist. I used to look like a greyhound once upon a time. Don't look like that anymore now. But I'm trying to get back into it and trying to force myself in the middle of the day, like just pick up the bike, go for a ride. There's no meetings, just do it. Problem is, there's generally meetings back to back, and anyway. But
and not just meetings, but family. Yeah,
and there's family commitments as well, which obviously the reality behind it is I've learnt the balance there where family is more important, and work has to take a second place, I think. And my boss is very much that way inclined as well. So there's a very good equilibrium there where we sort of like, if there's something that you need to do with your family, screw work, go do it, which has been really beneficial. And one of the reasons I took on the job to begin with in the first place, working, just for the record, I'm actually currently doing a project in an office, wearing a shirt and a tie, and so it's very different to
corporate
walking
kind of world.
Yeah, very much. And it's very different to holding a camera. And we've got an area within our department which has photographers, and they go around and they take photos at events and stuff. And I'm looking at them going, "You're shit. You're just shit. I wouldn't do it that way. I would use a different angle. That lens is wrong. Oh my God, I can't believe you're using a Sony." Sorry, mate.
It's always picking on Sony.
I always have to do a pick on Sony. And that's where I'm at the moment. Actually, on that note, very interesting. Sony released the A9 or something just recently. The glam, the huge. Anyway, they released a camera. I thought you would be on top of this.
I don't know, man. It's
anyway. So
go on.
There's this ongoing trend that I've noticed that camera producers, Sony, Canon, other ones out there, they're producing these cameras which overheat, and it's a known problem. It's like I see, because I sort of dabble in the market at the moment. I look at the new products. The new Canon R5 II is out. Did you hear about that?
I did. Yeah.
It's almost like a simplified version of the R5C, which is the cameras that I use, except it overheats. The R5Cs never overheat. Go figure that one out. And there's more features on the R5C than there are on the R5 II. Sorry, it gets confusing with all these things. But they've come out with the cooling grip.
Oh.
So remember the old grips that used to fit on the bottom with the batteries in them? But this is a cooling grip. It's got like a fan in there which forces air into your camera. And you're just like, this is just getting out of hand. And I thought it was just Canon that released it. But the other day I saw that there's a product now, a fan that runs off the dummy, off your battery in your camera for a Sony, or off a V-Lock battery, and it straps to the back of your camera. It's a big, massive fan with these little digital meters telling you the temperature of your camera.
Oh, really?
Because even the Sonys are overheating. And it's just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, what are they doing?
Why can't they produce a camera that doesn't overheat? Well, they did, the R5C. But, I'm just baffled with the things that are going on out there. But
I think I think maybe Sony, I don't know, I can't talk about Canon sort of thing because I'm not in the sort of into ecosystem, but looking at Sony, they almost want you to buy that sort of cinema line camera, so either FX3s, FX6s, FX9s, you know what I mean? Because I've got the FX6 and that never overheated on my life, you know what I mean? I've been using it.
You know why it doesn't overheat? Because you just don't use it enough.
No, I've used it, and you know what? It was running for like an hour or two, no problems, without any overheating. But it's a big format camera, you know what I mean? Yeah. So if it's compact, obviously there is an issue there.
But you've got one of the smaller, and once again, I don't really know Sony's too well. I know it's the A7R or some crap like that.
A7S. So A7S is the video component, and the 7R is the photography.
And which one have you got?
S.
Does that overheat?
No.
Okay. So
not that I know. I haven't actually done it. Yeah.
Yeah, but you've never had a problem with it. But see, they can release cameras which don't overheat.
Yeah,
but then these flagship cameras that are coming out, and they got fans stuck out the side of them, and it's just like,
yeah, no shit.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Yeah.
There you go. But that's pretty much.
What have you been up to?
Yeah, pretty much not really much,
Mm.
other than looking at. Oh, and then we had the Microsoft this CrowdStrike.
Oh yeah, you posted some Canon stuff on.
Oh, no, that
on
was-
and I thought that your Canon had this CrowdStrike thing as well. and I was just like, what the hell?
I went through a craze where I was basically superimposing that error screen, the Microsoft
Yeah.
this blue screen of death on everything. So I put it on the back of my camera saying that my camera had crashed and posted it on the Canon
You just wanted
forums.
to feel included.
I did, but I posted it on the Canon forums and stuff, and people were like, "Oh my god, I can't believe it! It's crashed!" You know,
They believed it. Not.
well, some people
You should have
did.
said April the 1st, bitches.
But some people actually realized it was a joke. But there were so many people who honestly got really offended and they're angry.
Oh,
And
really?
I can't believe they're releasing cameras like this to the and you're just like, it's a joke, guys. But I mean, I took it to the
Wow.
extreme where even my bike computer had a blue screen superimposed
saw
on
that.
it. Yeah,
Mm.
so I mean, my Garmin for my bike doesn't have a computer built. Well, it doesn't have Windows in it, so it wouldn't crash like that. But I thought it'd be funny, and then. Of course, people still couldn't pick up on the joke, even though everything I was superimposing that blue screen on everything. So I got to the point where I superimposed it on a piece of toilet paper on a toilet paper roll. That was when finally people started going, "Oh, he's joking."
Mm.
No,
It's funny how people, and that's one of the reasons why we do both hate media, social media stuff, because people just don't know when it's a joke and when people, when it's for real, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I don't post a lot on social media anymore, man. It's just like, I like to have a chat about it. I like to, discuss it and, obviously meet up with people. But like, you start posting on social media and all these dumbos, all these Karens come out and they just like lose their shit over something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But we've been talking for almost 20 minutes
Oh, we have shit, really?
about what we've done for the last
Oh,
couple
wow.
of weeks. Yeah, we've lost track of time. It's just
Yeah,
good to
yeah,
catch
yeah.
up again.
Yeah, it was definitely.
And apologies to everyone out there who tuned in to listen to this episode about a particular thing that we're going to be discussing within a few seconds, hopefully. So we probably should jump onto that.
Wow,
So
what are we talking about today?
well, I'm glad you asked.
You bought something new.
I did buy
it looks
something
pretty
new.
funky,
I did
and
buy
it's actually
something
quite
new.
heavy too.
Yes, it's not heavy.
It's very small. It goes in straight to like palm of your hand, and you can strap it onto your wrist and all this fancy stuff.
It's called a wristwatch.
Oh,
I'm just joking.
by Zoom.
No, so basically, for a very long time, we've been using Zoom products. I've also used other products like Tascam and a few other brands as well. But as time progressed, I mean, Tascam was good, don't get me wrong. They're still producing some amazing stuff out there. But I moved across to Zoom. Sold up all my Tascam stuff. Tascam, which is also Technics, just in case you didn't know the brand. And I bought a lot of Zoom stuff. So I've got a couple of different Zooms. I think the most recent one, I got the Zoom H6.
Yes, you do. I've got a 5 and you got a 6.
Yeah. And they're great. They're fantastic. I mean, you can put 6 inputs into it. It is brilliant. But
It's an audio device.
audio device. It's an
Yes.
audio recorder.
Yes.
So you put a microphone into it, or you use the capsule, which is a microphone. Well, they call it capsule, which means microphone for Zoom. That's almost said Tascam there. And basically, it records audio. So it's like a dictaphone, those old ones from the 80s, but in a high quality version of it, records multiple tracks, has a digital screen, yada yada yada. And I've actually thoroughly loved my H6. I've tried to palm it off to you too.
Yeah,
So
I do love the H6 as well, man. I was actually thinking of buying a H8.
H8,
But
the Octopus.
The octopus. It looks so funky, man. It looks so cool. I'm in love with
And so-
I'm in love with look of it.
H8. Explain what the H8 is.
Oh, H8 is a recorder like a normal
With?
H5, but it's got 8 inputs.
H8. That's what the H.
So you can sort of
Yeah.
input 8 microphones.
8 lines in.
Yeah, so
8 anything you want.
well, you can put 6 XLRs.
You can actually just straight off the unit itself. It's 6 SLRs. XLRs, not SLRs.
XLR. Yeah.
XLR, also known as Canon, by the way. Canon plugs. They were owned by Canon Technology many years ago, and that was the name of the plug.
Bullshit. Okay.
No.
I believe you. All right. No,
No,
that's fine, mate.
not-
That's
it.
cool.
No,
right?
reverse, take it back. Canon spelled with a double N.
Oh.
So it's Canon, not the camera brand, but another company called Canon Technologies.
Oh, like a Canon ripoff.
Well, I wouldn't call it a rip-off. They did plugs and audio cables and
Right.
stuff like that. And they since have been bought out by some other big company. But anyway,
Interesting.
yeah, so
Okay.
they originally produced the the XLR, I was going to say TRS, the XLR cable and the plug. And they originally were calling it the Canon plug, and then it became the XLR plug. So it's either known as Canon or it shows my age.
Yeah.
But if you ever hear someone say, "Hey, that's a Canon plug," then you know what they're talking about.
That's old school saying.
Yeah, it's XLR, same thing.
Right.
And actually, it relates to the actual the way it was manufactured.
Anyway, whatever. So my H5
will take your H5 will
takes
take
2 inputs and so all up 4 microphones. Then your H6 takes 6 microphones.
No, well, the thing is, the H6 comes with 4 audio inputs, so like XLR cable plugs in it, and then it's got a microphone mounted at the top, which is left and right. So that's channel 5.
But you can
6.
also plug in an extra.
You can take the microphone off and put an extension on it, so it becomes 6 XLR inputs.
Yes.
So the H8 comes with 6 XLR plugs and 2 microphones, and you can take the microphones out and put an XLR adapter in there, which will give you 2 extra XLRs. So you have 8 XLR inputs, which is a lot of XLR inputs.
Yeah, there is. That's a shitload, actually.
Yeah. So, but like I feel like I'm in a boxing match.
It's my phone.
Bing. In the background, it's like
the wife is messaging me.
So basically, the H6s, the H8s, great units, but obviously they're huge, especially the H8. Now, the thing's massive. It's got like, imagine a unit that can hold 8 XLR cables. I'm getting tongue-tied. It is just massive, right? And as much as I love using them, it was just too big to drag around, especially if you're doing run and gun stuff, right? And myself, I do a lot of solo work. I do audio, I do the video, I do everything. So having all of that gear lying around, especially if you're in a big area with lots of people, you don't want to leave lots of gear lying around. So for me, it was a big issue. I wanted to have something smaller that I could have. Now, Zoom released a while ago a particular product called the F3, which is basically a very, very small audio recorder. And for a very long time, I've wanted to get it, and just never got around to it. And I thought to myself, I'm going to pull the plug, I'm going to get one. So I got one this week. I rang up Video Guys.
Very cool.
I got another plug for Video Guys here because I rang him up. Literally, I said, "Hey, John, at Video Guys, I need F3. Can you get it to me? I want to do a review on it and also post it up at the end of this week." And he was like, "Yeah, sure, no worries." I kid you not, the next morning, there's a tap at the door. No, it wasn't John from Video Guys knocking at the door, but it was Australia Post with the parcel. So next day delivery.
Oh, nice.
Awesome. Thank you very much to Video Guys. So they got me the F3, and I purchased it, by the way, just so you know. It's not, we weren't given it for free.
You purchased it with your own money.
With my own money. We weren't given it for free. So the review we're doing tonight on the F3 is actually paid for by ourselves. It wasn't a freebie or anything like that. So we're not
stuff them.
Yeah. So what we're going to say to you is not... No, that's terrible. So what we're saying to you is based on our own feedback from our own experiences, not based on what other people want us to say.
Nothing's paid for, and
So there's no favoritism. It's just the truth. So here we go. Zoom F3. Dun, da, da, da. So as you said before, it's small.
Tiny.
It is
tiny. It's actually quite heavy.
It's heavy because it's quite chunky, but it, like space-wise, width and length, it's actually quite small. Depth-wise, it's actually quite deep, and it probably weighs the same as your H5, I'm guessing.
Yeah, probably. Actually, you know what? We can probably chuck that on the scales.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty close, I would say. It's not a lightweight unit. It's not.
No.
It's not something that's like a paperweight or anything like that. But it is made of alloy, and it is also made of plastic. And the alloy does weigh it down. But then again, if I was to drop this and it landed on one of the edges, which was made of alloy, it wouldn't break. So that makes me happy.
That's good. Nice.
So There you go.
So people. Sorry, I'm just trying to understand. Looking at it, how many inputs does it have?
It has 2 inputs only.
Okay.
So it's as opposed to the H5.
So why are we actually reviewing this? Like, is there something special about it, or what?
Yes, it's fantastic. It's nifty. It's small. You can put it on top of your rig while you're recording as as an individual person, and it's all
So the 32-bit thing, is that a big thing or not?
I was gonna get to that.
Oh fuck!
You always jump ahead, don't you?
Yeah, but people want to know what's so special about it, man. So you better just talk about
Why
it.
don't we just start up and just
bloody
talk about the reviews?
Oh,
This is what we thought about it,
seriously,
mate.
mate. People want to get excited.
Build up, the drum
All
roll.
right. Well, people just listen to Evan. He's gonna do his spiel.
All right. Now, look, I personally will give it a review at the end.
Yep.
Feel free to jump on board if you want.
All right. I will.
But I just wanted to give people a heads up what the features are on it, because it doesn't have as many features as the bigger units, obviously. It is very limited in what it does, but what it does it really well.
Okay.
So it's powered by 2 AA batteries,
Mm-hmm.
or you can use a USB-C plug on the side, which is one of the big questions that you had initially when you saw it. And yeah, so you can actually have it plugged in, and if the USB-C power dies, it will divert straight to the two AA batteries without interrupting the recording.
Cool.
It just continues on.
Nice.
So yeah, it's great. A lot of people have, before I bought this, obviously I sat there and sort of did some reviews to make sure that it was what I needed it to be. One of the biggest gripes people have is about the plastic battery door on this thing.
Oh, right.
You haven't had a chance to see that, but I'll show it to you
I
later.
did see it, but is it really that much of a fucking, whatever?
No, it's a plastic door. It's like, look, the reality behind it is flimsy. It is lightweight. They're trying to cut back on weight. I mean, the unit's not light, so they're trying to cut back on everything they can. The plastic door that covers the batteries is flimsy. Yes. Do I care? No. So I think people have just, really overdone that. It also has a small little micro SD card on the side of it, which allows you to put a 1 terabyte card into this unit.
Yeah, that's good.
And basically at the end of the day, I don't have a 1 terabyte card to put into it. But it does actually.
So that should last the recording like a full day, right? I'm guessing, if not more.
Well, I've got a 64 gig card in there. I think it's telling me that I've got 18 hours recording time.
Oh, wow.
So if I put 1 terabyte in there, it would probably
a little bit about for 4 days.
Yeah. It's the rest of your life. No, so the reality behind it is, as you did mention earlier on, this is a 32-bit float unit, which means basically it records at a higher rate. It stores more information, so it obviously uses that card a lot more than, say, for example, one of the earlier devices like the H6 or the H5 would use. So it's like, a comparison.
Talking about the cards, I think my one still uses like a 2 gig card in it.
Yeah,
the H6.
It's unless you're recording at some ridiculous kilohertz, it's going to last you for a while.
Yeah.
So 64 is sufficient for 18 hours. I don't need more than 18 hours on a gig, so I'm happy to leave that in there. Maybe one day when I'm rich and famous, I can afford a 1 terabyte micro SD, which is probably $14. But at this stage, I'm going to stick to that. And look, it's the equivalent of like. When you're trying to figure out how much extra memory it's going to use a 32-bit recording system, it's like when you're recording on a memory card and you're shooting at 1080p, and then you shoot at 4K. It does increase. The amount of storage that it requires. It's going to go up, and that's a prime example of it. Also on the side of it, and one of the first questions you asked is, what the hell is this big hole in the side?
It was a big hole. Like, I haven't actually noticed it before. Like, as in, I don't even know what's it for.
So what happens is there's a little plastic cover on the side of it, and what it does is you pop that cover open, and you can put a little dongle in there, a USB dongle. And so what it does is it actually allows you to transmit and work on this camera through your phone and other Bluetooth devices. So I have an app on my phone that will allow me to change the recording, change this, that, the other, stop recording.
Oh, so it's a Bluetooth adapter you can put on?
Yeah, so it basically gives it Bluetooth abilities. So the unit doesn't come with Bluetooth abilities from the factory. You have to buy that separately, which was a little bit of a disappointment because I actually went off and but I downloaded the actual app on my phone before I got the thing thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to be able to sit on the other side of the room and monitor recording levels.
That's right.
And then I realized no, I can't because I don't have the dongle. So
how much? Do we know how much extra that is?
Yeah, so the dongle you need for this is the BTA-1, I believe it is, and they sell for about $50.
Okay, it's not gonna
break the bank,
but still, it would be nice to have it on there integrated.
Yeah. So that's the downside of it. I mean, it would have been nice to have it built in, but once again, they're probably trying to save weight, which doesn't really make sense because if I go off and buy it, I'm going to add the weight in anyway. So also, one of the big things about this is it's got a big, massive, well, as massive as it gets on this device, which is actually quite small. It's got a big LCD screen.
Nice.
And what it does is it allows you to see a number of different features, record times, what you're recording at, the waves. You can actually see the wave levels
Nice.
and so on, which are fully adjustable, I might add. I can actually change the size of the wave. So if it's too small, I can jack it up so I can actually look at it on a big scale.
Okay.
Why would I do it? I have no idea, but I can do it. Yeah,
So it's a visual thing only?
whilst it's recording, yes, it is only a visual thing.
Okay, so maybe for people glasses, no glasses, maybe they just cater to that. Maybe?
I really don't see the point in it, to be quite honest, because at the end of the day, it's just the wave is just a big slab of black LCD. You know, it's like it's not really, you can't see massive peaks and stuff. So you're not going to see any finer detail by zooming into it. But you know, it's there anyway, so that's one of the options. And so. Anyway, there you go. So basically, that LCD screen will show you the record time, so how long you've been recording or how much time is remaining on your card. Battery levels. It will also show you if you've got phantom power on. So for those people who don't understand what phantom power is, Marty, you can tell them.
Oh, I'm not an audio person, but phantom power is something that will potentially generate extra power and let the device think that it's powering up, but it doesn't actually have that extra power.
Well,
in a way.
It's an interesting way. It's when your microphone needs power to activate.
Yeah.
So these microphones we're currently using, which are Sennheisers, they have a battery built into them, so they're powering themselves. But if we didn't have a battery in these microphones, and we could run power to these, we could actually use the device to send power to them and charge them. So
that's what I said.
I know. I'm just giving you the technical version of it, right? All right, so it also shows you the waveform. It's backlit as well. There's a timer there which can actually, you can set it up so the backlight turns on and off, or it stays on permanently. Personally, I would leave the backlight on permanently. The only time you would take it off is if you're out in the sun and it's super bright, because then you can actually see the LCD.
Okay.
Without the backlight, you can't see anything. So it's absolutely, leave it on. Leave it on. Inputs wise, now we mentioned this earlier on, it's got two inputs, XLR plugs, two of them. And what you can do is you can record as separate channels. So left is one microphone, XLR, and the other one can be a right. Or you can set it up so it records both of them on the same track, so it's mono. We're recording our episode actually on the F3 today.
Yay.
Right? So you're currently on the left channel and I'm on the right channel. And then later on in post-production, I'll combine those together, and we will sound like we're coming out of the same speakers. But yeah, so that is a key point. We are recording the show on the F3 tonight.
That's nice.
So you're about to hear what it sounds like. So
we should probably mention that we normally record everything on the H6 or the H5, or my one or your one, depending where it is. So the benefit of this one here is obviously having that extra latitude when editing, right?
Yep, which is the 32-bit float, which we'll talk about a little bit later on.
Yep.
Once again, jumping the...
I want to know the truth here, mate, and just tell me what I'm here for.
There's lots of important things you need to know before we get there. All right, so it has two XLR ports. Now, one thing that's really important to know is other models by Zoom, which have XLR plugs, also have the feature in the middle of the XLR plug to fit a 6.5 millimeter jack.
Okay.
So you're probably thinking, what the hell is he talking about? So
no idea. I'm not an audio person.
So basically, the XLR plug allows you to plug in an XLR cable into it,
or
a jack, which looks like a giant version of the 3.5 headphone jack.
Yeah. I've seen that before.
Yes.
I've seen it. Yeah.
This one doesn't have that.
Okay.
So you are pretty much limited to XLR plugs. So if you're, for example, you had this on your camera and you wanted to run, some type of micro wireless lavalier system like the Rode Go system, you wouldn't be able to plug this directly into it. You would need to get an adapter from 3.5 mil, which is a female plug, to a male XLR plug.
Yep.
So and they're quite cheap. They're only like $15. So yeah, that's pretty much the outside of it. It also acts as an audio interface for your computer, so you can plug a microphone into it straight into USB from this into your computer, and bang.
Through USB-C.
Yeah.
Nice.
Or actually USB-C on the device, but your side of the computer could have a USB-C, could be USB-A, could be...
Well, it depends how new your computer is, right? So if it's a new computer, then USB-C, but if it's an older computer, it will be USB-A. USB-A.
Yeah. Okay. So onto the big question of the 32-bit float.
Yes, tell me what's that about, because I'm dying inside here.
This is the point of why I bought this device. So 32-bit float allows you to record and not stress out too much about the levels. It will record everything and limit the distortion. So even if you have a very, very loud banging sound in the background, it will record it like that. Thank you very much. I was actually going to do that later, but you beat me to it again.
Oh, there you go. I just thought of that and I just did it.
You know what? Psychic thing.
There you go.
There you go.
Mate.
But it allows you to, when you're recording normally with audio, you've got to try and balance the audio. So, you do a sound check or a voice check. You look at the lowest level, you look at the highest level, you get person to speak it as loud as they're going to speak.
Yep.
You make sure it doesn't go into the red, which is like, negative 6 dB or 0 dB.
Yep.
So you balance it out and then you start recording. But the problem is sometimes people change the way
people get excited.
Yeah, pretty much. Exactly like that. And then it distorts the signal because it just goes into the 0 dB, just like you just did then.
Did it actually distort?
You did distort.
Wow.
But
do you reckon you can fix that in post?
Well, this is the thing, right? So the way the 32-bit float works is a whole technical jargon piece, which I'm going to read to you in a second because I can't explain it very well. I'm not a technical
reading
person.
Is fine, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what it does is it allows you to record even the distortion, and in post-production, you can actually then bring that sound down and it gets rid of the distortion because by reducing the level in post-production, it reduces the distortion. So say you've gone past 0 dB and it's just like that. You can actually bring the waveform back down and suddenly the audio will come back to normal again.
Okay.
HGV, I saw your eyes.
No, I'm just computing the whole thing.
Well, you clapped before and you made a loud noise.
I did.
Let's see if that was distorted when I put it in post-production and change it up.
Listen up, people.
So in saying that, I mean, at the end of the day, you can just put the recorder on, press record and start recording.
So let me get this on the straight. So if people talking really loud, like softly like this, you'll still be able to get all that information out and then bring it up and then clean it up. And
you
obviously...
just ramp the volume up in
And
post-production.
if you talk like this...
Yes.
That was extreme.
That was
extreme.
I was looking at your waveform. It was just flat across the top. Now, in saying that,
yeah.
then I'm going to get to the technical side of things, but there is a problem, though, which... no matter what float you've got, you're not going to be able to stop some distortion. So, for example, if you're screaming into a microphone and the microphone itself cannot handle the level of distortion that you're producing,
it's useless.
It's going to be hardwired into your recording.
Because what actually happens is the microphone picks up all the data, all the sound and everything else, feeds it into this F3, and it cleans it up. But then if the microphone is obviously distorted and it can't handle that
that signal it's going to send through is just distortion. That's when you try and edit it, the wave's just going to be distortion.
If that's going to work on the previous one I was yelling.
Well, I'll have to do a couple of snippets of it. But did you want the technical
explanation? Yeah, let's do it. I can't wait for it.
I downloaded this earlier on, so I apologize. I am going to be reading from a piece of paper. This never happens. So under a 32-bit float, a much wider range of audio values can be recorded. To put it in perspective, 16-bit audio is capable of recording sound with a dynamic range of up to 96 decibels, which is around the level of a rock concert. A 24-bit audio recording can capture a dynamic range of up to about 144 dB. So
that's pretty high.
Yeah, and most of our recorders are 24 dB. But so what exactly, if a rock concert is, between, say, 90 and 110 dB, what the hell is at 144?
Yeah, a rocket.
Okay. And then with the 32-bit float, ready, drum roll, brum, boom, it can capture up to 1,528 dB.
Wow, that's more than a rocket.
Interesting. I'm not sure what this equates to in real life. I'd probably say it's probably up there with my wife yelling at me that I haven't washed the dishes.
Yeah, that's true.
That's up there. Probably the only other thing that's sort of on par with that, maybe if I had my head in a jet engine of a plane or a rocket, I don't know. But that is huge. Right now,
huge.
So the signal won't distort at the ridiculously high levels that you're going to put it through, but let's be honest, your microphone's not going to be able to handle that whole.
Well, I was going to say, are they recommending any specific microphone for this particular unit? Are they sort of saying, hey, if you use this you can record 1 billion dBs. I don't know. What are they saying? Is that a good question, or is that a good question?
I don't know if a microphone could record that. Maybe a microphone that's designed for something like a kick drum.
Don't know what that is.
Drum kits. Drum kits.
Yeah.
You got the foot drum.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 which boom, tss, boom, boom, tss, boom, 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 tss, da, 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 da. Anyway,
Yeah, okay.
so I apologise to everyone out there for my.
Nah, don't apologise, mate. Your music sounds like ears. Love to my ears. What?
I'm gonna keep beatboxing more regularly. No, but yeah. So look, it is good, and technically you can switch it on and start recording, but you will need to do some post production work to get it all happening properly. I'll do a version of it today, and one way to actually rectify that is to do a sound balance or sound check before you start recording. Typically the old style ways.
Yep.
So what will happen is basically you still set it up the same way, and generally speaking, your recording will be fine. Post-production, you're not going to really have to edit it too much. If you're lazy or you're in a rush and you just press record, that's fine. But in post-production, you're just going to have to do a lot more work to fix it up.
Yeah.
But you can fix it up as long as your microphone doesn't distort.
So does it actually have like auto levels there as well?
When you say auto levels, you mean?
Well, on my FX6 phone, I've got auto audio. So if I've got basically a button on it saying audio level auto. So it's gonna basically.
Yeah, that's what all cameras have. The auto. Yeah.
I use it all the time. It's fine, man. Sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. I apologize.
Please don't. Yeah, look.
But what do you mean?
I'll be honest with you. I think most people who've got DSLRs and they're using them for video probably do exactly the same thing. Generally speaking, you can set it up to do audio and on an auto setting where basically the camera adjusts. So what will happen is if the volume gets really loud, it will drop the volume or the gain down. If it gets really low, it'll ramp it up. So you'll start hearing these fluctuations in the audio. So when it's really loud, you'll hear it loud for a split second, then it realizes it's loud and drops the volume down. So it'll be like a wave. And if it becomes really quiet, it'll suddenly ramp it up and you'll suddenly start hearing all this background noise as well, which is being amplified. So it's all over the place. Right? Okay. And the problem is it needs, the way I see it is the camera needs to hear the noise being loud before it realizes it's loud and then drops the volume down going, oh shit, there's going to be a whole bunch of loud noise now. I've got to drop the volumes down. So that first moment of your recording will be possibly distorted because it comes in really loud. The camera goes, oh shit, I'm going to drop the levels. True. But that first bit will be distorted. And then it suddenly goes, there's someone whispering, I can't hear him. Let's ramp up the levels. And suddenly you can hear the air conditioner in the background. You can hear the birds outside. It's all over the place. And it'll be just continuously on the roller coaster, up and down, up and down. So it's not what I look for in my recordings. I do it all in manual. I basically do the sound checks beforehand. So I basically get the person to talk normally. How are you going to be talking when we're looking at the camera?
And people always talk about this. And then once they start getting excited, they go like this, and I'm happy to be here. And
exactly. And you just distorted your signal again.
So
let's see if we can save that.
Impress.
If you don't hear any distortion, it's because I've managed to bring it back down. But he was once again distorting this, so just keep that in mind. And that's a 32-bit float.
Yep.
It could potentially be that the microphone's going to die as well, but we'll see how that goes. But the audio setting, whilst it does work, and if you're completely crappy at what you do, dig. Yeah, you can get away with it. I wouldn't use it personally.
Okay.
And I would personally do the traditional style of lowest, highest.
So what's the point of buying this F3, mate, if I can't do everything automatically, mate? It's like, seriously, I just want to plug the shit in and let it work, mate.
But it does. It does record everything automatically. It does. But as opposed to the H5 or the H6 or the H8, if it distorts, well, you're screwed because you can't actually bring the distortion back down. This one you can. You still have to do post-production. It's not going to be, the bullet that cures everything. Right? Yeah. It's basically, you still got a lot of work, but it saves your ass.
Okay. So question, do I need a special software to be able to recover all the 32-bit?
No.
So I can just do it in Final Cut or DaVinci or
Well, I've been using the DaVinci and haven't had a problem. I don't know about Final Cut, but I presume it would be exactly the same. There's a whole bunch of audio programs. And remember, this is an audio device, so you can, use something else out there, Audacity, for example, which is purely an audio program to play with the audio. It's not a problem. And then import it into your video production if you want to. But I've never had a problem with it. So, yeah. And
Interesting.
We're going to know at the end of this show if there was distortion or not.
Okay.
Oh, you're not going to stop, are you?
Clean that shit up, mate.
I just feel sorry. Everything you're doing is distorted. Well, at least on the
I did have a bit of vino, mate, today, so I think maybe that's probably contributing to my loudness.
All right, so it's got some buttons on the outside moving right along, so we will stop you from screaming and carrying on. The buttons on the outside, we've got, let's see, it's got a very, very small on-off button on the side, typical of every other audio recorder out there. The one thing that I've noticed about this one, which is very, very different to the H5, H6, H8, the H5, H6, you've got a button that you press for recording, right? So you press it once, and what it does is it actually engages the audio level, so you can see the recording levels and stuff, and you can set it up. And once you're ready, you press that button again, and it goes into record mode. This doesn't have that. So it's a little bit finicky in that sense. It's a little bit of a weird setup because it's got a slider button. So what you've got to do is you've got to slide it up into the record mode. When you let go of it, it drops back into normal position. And a little red light comes on telling you that it's recording. So you can see it from a mile away, but also on the LCD screen, it also tells you it's recording, which is good. And then you can also drop that same switch down, which basically puts the whole entire unit on hold, so you can't accidentally press any buttons.
Okay.
So it's like a lock system.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing worse than pressing the on button, thinking you're recording, but as you're putting it away, you accidentally press the record button again and switch it off, or the stop button.
That's good.
Also, it's got a couple of switches on the side of it. So it's got, it's got the play button, pause button, menu button, and then they're just like basic little setups. It's a very, very simple little device. It hasn't got too much, and the menu structure inside of it is actually quite simple as well. By comparison to, I'm not sure if you've ever seen my H6 menu. It just keeps scrolling and scrolling and scrolling.
No, there is a fair bit of even my H5, I think it is. There's a fair bit of options there as well.
Yeah,
they're really good. I mean, it's just that's.
But you need a degree in astrophysics to be able to get.
Yeah,
through
you
this
do. Yeah.
I mean, every time I try and format the card, I'm sitting there for like about 30 seconds trying to remember where the format.
I just stick it into your computer, right click, format, Bob's your uncle.
No, do not format your cards in your computer. 4 cameras or audio gear. What is wrong with you? Come on, yell into the microphone again. Come on.
Sorry.
All right. On the subject of internal menus, we're just going to go into that in a second. This has a little feature on it, but when you actually get yourself a new micro USB card and you plug it in, you can go through the standard process of formatting it and stuff. But it's also got a test feature on it as well, which I believe a couple of the H6s also had, probably the H8. I'm not sure about the H5, but anyway. So what it does is it actually records a whole bunch of data onto the card, puts it under stress to see how the card's going to hold up. So if you buy a cheap shit card and you put it in and it's not going to be able to hold the data, you do the test before you start recording and it says, oh, this card's a piece of crap, get rid of it, replace it. So I did actually a test on that. It took half an hour on a 64 gig card. I'm starting to get caught up in this gig stuff. And it went through that process. It came back. It said the card was good. It was an old card as well, which I was quite impressed with. So yeah, but so we'll go through the menu features. So there we go. Let's have a look. Okay, so basically it has a sound marker, which I introduced you to earlier on. So what it does is you can set it up so that when you press record on this, it sends out a beeping sound. Through your headphones, which is extremely loud, I might add.
I've noticed that.
But if you've got this device connected to your camera, it also sends the beeping sound out to your camera. And what that allows you to do is sync the audio signal from this recorder to your camera recorder, so that you don't sit there trying to line up the waveforms and stuff, which I'm not sure if you've ever done that. It is painful.
I have done that, and I agree. Does this have a tentacle sync thing as well on that? No. Tentacle sync.
Oh, yeah. So it does actually have a sync. That's probably... I don't use syncing.
Yeah.
I have the features on my cameras. It does have a sync feature. I haven't used it. I never will. But what I've actually read about the sync feature on this particular unit, it only works with a Animus monitor.
Oh.
Which I found completely bizarre.
Yeah, right.
But it seems like the actual software is only meant to work with Animus. Don't know why. I haven't tried it, so I can't confirm that, but that's what I've read, which seems really, really weird. But okay. So with the tone matching, it does send out a tone. You can switch that on and off. In saying that, most software nowadays automatically syncs your audio anyway.
Yeah, they can.
I actually have never used that feature. I just do it by hand. I don't know why. I should probably start doing that, but there you go.
Yeah, you should. Much easier.
Okay, it also has the typical 6-second pre-recording option as well. So basically, before you press record, it's still recording. If something happens and you press record...
Only 6 seconds?
6 seconds is a long time.
I think GoPro's got like 30 seconds from memory.
I'm not really a GoPro person, so I can't comment on that.
Okay, sorry. Disregard that.
That's all right. No, it's interesting to know. Records in mono or stereo, so it's got two inputs. You can do left-right channel. You can record both together as a mono, which we discussed earlier on. Allows for phantom power. That's another option that you can go through the menu and actually select. It has a high-pass filter to remove unwanted low frequencies, and this can be adjusted as well. It has an invert phase and also a delay. So look, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't really know much about these features. I don't use them myself. The invert phase is when you have the audio from two devices and they're acting against each other, so they're cancelling each other out. So if we had the same voice and we're both singing in tune, our voices will technically cancel each other out.
Wow.
I had similar things happen with audio production when I was mixing music many, many years ago, but I've never come across it in the field, so I wouldn't be using that feature. And there's also an output delay as well. So basically, the signal comes out at a different time to what it's not live, and also, you can also select the input types. So you know how I got the two XLRs we spoke about. You can plug in a microphone, as we're doing now, or you can do a line in, so from a mixing desk or something like that. So you can record directly off a mixing desk.
Oh yeah.
Which some of the earlier model recorders weren't able to do that because they have a higher input level. And there's power and stuff involved with it, which actually doesn't allow it to record properly. Okay. Once again, not a technical person when it comes to that type of stuff, so I don't have the answer to it, but I do know that there is a difference between microphone inputs and line-in inputs. There's, so there you go. And as per most audio recorders, you can adjust the sample rate on the recorder. So, the level I use, 48 kilohertz, which is basically probably one of the highest levels you can use, which is noticeable by ear. You can go much higher than that. So, for example, this one allows you to record up to 192 kilohertz, which is just overkill. Anything over like 40, anything at 48, you would struggle to hear any difference between a 48 and 60 something. But it is there if you need it. If you're doing field recording and you want to get the best possible audio sound, you can use it. I think the difference would not be noticeable, but there are some people out there who are obsessed with audio, more so than me, and they would use that feature. I think there's like a 0.2% difference, I think, in total. But
maybe 2.2% people are more into it than you are.
But in saying that, if you are using the higher frequencies, it's going to chew the hell through the batteries. And one of the things we didn't actually discuss earlier on when we did speak about the batteries is it has 2 AA batteries.
We did say that.
We did, but you didn't ask me the magic question, which you asked me when I first was thinking about buying it, which was?
Does it run off USB-C?
That was the second question.
I don't know what's the magic question, sorry.
How long does it last on AA batteries?
Oh, yeah.
Because it's only two AA batteries.
Well, the reason why I asked that question, because I was shooting a conference the other day on my H6, now running off AA batteries. Now it lasted for bloody an hour or an hour and a half or something like that.
How many AAs?
2.
2, okay. And it lasted for?
Honestly, I think it was about an hour and a half max. And I was stressing, I was fiddling, and I was starting plugging shit in. I was just through the roof, you know what I mean? Like the stress level was just like through the roof. Go on. So how many is this one?
So I'm going to tell you how long I've had this. I've still got the original batteries that I got with this.
Oh, yeah.
They're just Duracells, which Duracell's a good brand. It's not some cheapo shit. Okay. Were you using good quality batteries at your recording? Or?
I thought I was.
Yeah. All right. Because the H5 is power hungry. The H6 is power hungry. The interesting thing about this is I've actually had it now running for probably about 4.5 hours on the same 2 batteries, and the recording levels, so the battery levels, not the recording levels, is telling me it's completely full still.
Wow.
So I believe it's got a runtime of about 8 hours on 2 AA's, which is pretty damn good.
That is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And that was with including the memory card check and stuff as well, which would have been intensive. Trying different recording settings, you name it, I've done it. So it's still same batteries and it's still recording.
Yeah, okay. And then obviously, if you are running low or whatever else, you can just plug it into USB-C like a power bank, and then just run off that, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Wow, that's good. That's great.
So that's it. And it also has a time code feature as well, which we're not going to bother about. The line out feature has a line out limiter, a line out, I was going to say line out delay, and a line out level. So basically, when you plug it into your camera, you're getting a signal from this going into your camera, you can adjust that level so it's not distorting on your camera, because sometimes the audio outs on these things is actually really, really loud. So you can actually adjust it so that your camera's not going into red line. So you still get a usable recording on your camera as well as a backup. So whilst you are recording on this, if something was to happen to this unit or the SD card failed, the micro SD card, and let's be honest, micro SD cards, SD cards, CF Express, all those cards are known and they're prone to fail. So if something does go wrong and you've got to plug it into your camera, you've got a secondary recording as a backup. So it allows you to do that and adjust the volumes on it. So that's really, really useful as well. All right, so two outputs, we discussed that. It's got a line out, so basically you can plug it in straight into your camera. It's a 3.5mm jack. It also has a headphone jack and a volume control on the side of it for the headphone jack. The one criticism that I have thus far regarding the headphones on this particular unit is the volume is not very high. So if I was...
Well, you're just going deaf.
That too. Thank you for pointing that out, my old age. If I was in a rock concert, or my wife was screaming at me about the dishes, and I had the headphones on and I'm trying to hear the sound, I would not be able to hear it. It's not loud enough. I don't think the audio on the amplifier, on the outputs and the headphone on this was actually strong enough. That was probably my worst criticism of this particular unit.
Interesting.
And it's actually very few criticisms I have, so keep that in mind. Okay, so now the big question is, how do you mount this damn thing to anything? So how would you mount it to your camera? Now, most people haven't seen this. It's a square box. It's got 2 little rails on the bottom and a 1/4 inch screw hole in the middle.
Yeah, well, that's the 1/4 inch screw on the bottom, right?
Yeah. So how would you mount it to your camera looking at it now? And I know if you sort of go, oh yeah, I'll just put a cold shoe adapter on it, end of story. But when you actually do it, it doesn't work. It doesn't work properly, and you're just like, what the fuck is wrong?
So the little small rig adapters thing that I have here, that's not going to work?
It will. So you're referring to the hot shoe. Is it just like a little hot shoe mount, which is it?
No, hot shoe is the one like on the camera, on top of the camera, right?
Yeah.
Cold shoe is very similar. It plugs into the same thing.
Sorry,
but
my apologies. Cold shoe, yes.
Yeah.
I keep saying.
And then you've got your 3-point whatever, the screw.
The 1/4 screw.
Yeah, 1/4
so
screw.
It's almost like you're referring to the T connector. So it's basically got the little flat plate which fits into the cold shoe mount, and then has a screw that goes straight up into your device, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The problem you're going to find with that is when you try and tighten it up, the device is going to spin, not sit properly. It's going to spin left, right, and center.
Oh.
All right. And it's not adjustable because it's literally just going to sit directly on top of your camera. You can't twist it so you can look at it from different angles. So it becomes quite annoying. Now, you can get those little grommet screws that fit on the bottom of the cold shoe adapters, and it tightens up underneath the actual camera and holds it in place. The problem with that is the actual 1.4mm screw is so close to the battery door that once you actually use that thing, you can't open the battery case. So if you
take the whole thing off,
you have to take the whole thing off, unscrew everything. It's a pain in the ass. And if you're anything like me, you've tightened it on there with pliers, so you can't get it off. So you're screwed. Literally, boom, boom. Pun in the pun.
Wow. Hang on. So they couldn't put that screw hole a little bit higher than the battery door?
It's like literally a couple of mil from the battery door.
Wow.
Well, actually, I won't say a couple of mils. Probably like 5 mil.
It's saying that the battery lasts forever, so it's good.
Yeah, it is. But on the off chance. Yeah. And you eventually do need to get in there. So it's,
look, if I was using my camera, I'll probably just try to, probably on top of my handle or on top of a cheese plate or cheese platter or whatever you want to call it.
Jeez.
But it's one of those things, right? That you basically screw it into.
Yeah, well, you could do that. The other option is you can use a magic arm. Those ones with the big round, you can tighten it on there.
Any way you want
and that's actually quite useful because it allows you to tilt it in different angles, have it hanging off the side. You can if you've got a cage, which most people do, you can mount it to almost anywhere in the cage and bang, you've got it. But the problem is, I did do that originally, and then I realized the actual adapter or the actual magic arm was bigger than the recording unit.
No,
it's huge by comparison, and you're just like suddenly.
I've got I've got a little one, so potentially that might work. But yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying.
I've got a couple of small ones, and they were still quite large, so it just was awkward. Right. So what ended up happening in the end, I actually ended up getting a cold shoe mount for a monitor.
Oh yeah.
So it's got
the
a cold
shoe. Swivels.
Yeah, so it swivels backwards and forwards, so you can put it onto any part on your camera, and you can swivel it so you can actually see it from a different angle, and because you can actually tighten those and the base of it is actually quite thin, I use the Maxsoon one, which actually is a little bit smaller than your average monitor adapter. And it fits perfectly. It doesn't interrupt the door. It worked. I was like,
okay,
thank you. But it took me, I kid you not, about 45 minutes of trying so many different things and getting frustrated. That worked. There is 2 rails on the side of it as well where you can actually run some Velcro tape through it, and you can basically mount this onto a boom pole. If you're doing audio recording with a boom pole, you can do it on there. I've seen people strap it to their wrist. I'm still trying to figure out why they do that. Maybe it's that Mad Max sort of look. I don't know, but they do it. But just be mindful that it is finicky when it comes to trying to mount this thing.
Okay. Is that because it's so small though, or you reckon because it's just where they put those?
It's a little bit of everything. I knew it was going to be finicky, but I didn't realize how finicky until I actually got it. But in the scheme of things, once you actually do figure it out, it works. You leave it alone. I've left that monitor mount on the bottom. It sits there. It doesn't bother me.
It's cute.
And it's easy to plug it into my cage and so on like that. So all fantastic. And that's pretty much it, really. I've pretty much covered everything that I wanted to say about this unit. Every feature it's got, actually, mind you, it has more features, but I'm just not going to do every single one.
Okay, so you spent whatever hundreds of dollars on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Would you buy it again? Or would you just I can probably just use my H6 or H5 or whatever?
Look, I'm not going to be rushing out to get rid of my H6.
Okay.
It serves a purpose when I need to, when we did that video production where we were shooting with 8 people.
Yeah. We had 6 people mic'd up, yeah.
Yeah. So, sorry, 6 people, you're right. I've actually done 8 people when I've done double microphones into one receiver and then plugged them into it. So I've done 8. I've done more than that in other shoots. But you do need that occasionally. Not very often.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have the transmitters, you got to have the mics, you've got to have the recorder. It's a big setup. Most people don't have that, and you'd probably be better off just to go hire it than to actually have it. But I do occasionally do that. I take pride in my audio, so I would hold on to the H6.
Nice.
For run and gun, this will be my go-to. If I'm going to record a concert or I'm recording something out of a live mixing desk, bring this along. It's done. It's really handy and small. I'm actually really happy with it. And I'm very excited about the 32-bit float as well, which allows you to...
I want to hear it because I haven't actually heard it much about it. So I want to be able to, once you edit this episode, I want to be able to say, hey, all right, cool, this is actually working, or nah, it's crap.
Look, if you can control the audio levels and you take the time to set it up properly from the word go, and you set it up so that it won't distort, then you could get away with using other things.
Okay.
But then again, this is a small unit that's also easier to carry. It fits onto my rig, so I can actually record on this while I'm recording and walking around.
Yeah.
So it works in that sense. The H6, the H8, they wouldn't be able to fit on my rig. They're massive. People have done it. I've done it too. But it's just like, if it's on a tripod, you'll get away with it. But if you're trying to handhold, trying to carry all that gear on there is virtually impossible. So,
interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So look, for me personally, I think it's a great bit of kit. It's dumbed down from the bigger units, but it has all the accessories and all the requirements that I need from it.
Bells and whistles.
Yeah. The 32-bit float is fantastic. in all honesty, I would probably be going off and getting the new H6 with a 32-bit float. But the one thing that's stopping me from doing that is they've changed the microphone or the capsule connection points.
So all the ones that you've got, they won't fit
won't work onto the new ones. So I've got to go off and buy new ones. And at this stage, I'm just like, you know what? I'm doing okay with what I've got.
Yeah, definitely.
Whilst the 32-bit float's fantastic, I don't really need to rush off and get another one, so I'll wait for a little bit, I think, on that one. But as far as camera gear goes, it's fantastic. I'm happy with it. It's easy to use. It's simple. The battery's running strong.
Sounds good.
4.5 hours later. It's easy to set up, and overall, I would buy it again, hands down, without a problem. So
and they didn't pay you to say that. Wow, impressive.
No.
You had to pay them to say that.
I did have to pay them to say that's very true. What do you think of it from what you've seen?
Okay, so not being a audio kind of person like you are, right? And I'm still obviously audio mindful and obviously still,
even though you use auto.
Yeah. I mean it works, man. It works, bro. It's fine. Look, if I was on the market for a new recorder, I will definitely definitely look into that, just for the fact that the 32-bit float is a big thing for me. You know what I mean? Because then I don't have to think about it. I just plug it in and Bob's your uncle kind of thing. You know what I mean? I haven't heard it just yet, but I mean, there's a lot of people talking about it really in a positive way. Yeah. I've got a H5 at the moment, the Zoom H5. And I'm wrapped with it. It still works. I mean, it does have a couple of faults with it, and the other day was just not powering up, and so it's in a sense of security. If I go to a client site and this thing's going to be playing up on me, I'll be like, oh shit, kind of moment. But it sort of works. You know what I mean? I'll probably, if I was going to update, I'll probably update to the new H6, like you were saying. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Suck it up, princess, and spend the $500-600 whatever whatever it costs. But you pretty much, future-proof yourself for the next 5 years plus. Do you know what I mean?
And I might add, the actual H6, the new one, is actually not that expensive.
Right.
It's actually cheaper than the old one. Go figure that out.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So look, I think from my perspective, I wouldn't buy it. I'm glad you bought it because I can look at it and borrow it from you and and then play around with it. But I personally, I'll probably just save my money for the new H6.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, that's my personal thing. I mean, it's a great unit and it's pretty impressive for what it is, and small, and it's cool, and it's fancy, and battery lasts for forever. And I'm hoping it's not how much is it? Can we say that, or no? We're not allowed to say that.
It depends on where you get it from. The cheapest I have seen it is at Video Guys. I'm not doing a promotion here. It was actually the cheapest I've seen. I think they were like $415.
Okay.
Most other places are ranging between $460 to about $500.
Oh wow!
So it is substantially cheaper there. I'm not sure if they've actually got a sale on. Or
See, the thing is, like, considering you can plug only 2 channels to it, I'm kind of like...
Oh, value for money, yeah. No, look, you'd be silly not to go for the H6.
Yeah.
If you had a reason for that many inputs. And also if you weren't planning on rigging it into your rig and walking around doing handheld, because let's be honest, that is a effing big unit, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Then you got the cables hanging off it, you got the mounts, adds.
Compactness of this unit, it's fantastic. I seriously think it's definitely going to be worth. Like, if I popped that onto my FX6, it'll be amazing.
Actually, if you put it on your FX6, you wouldn't even see it.
Probably because that's just how small it is.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, I probably would look into it. But like,
usability and having multiple inputs, if you've got a reason for it, then fair enough.
Stick it on auto.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said that, actually, because people are going to think of me like, oh, Marty, you're shit on audio, man. Like, seriously.
But in your defense, every time it comes to a big gig where you need audio, you usually drag me along, so it's also...
I do. And that's the thing, man. You're my audio guy, so
yeah,
it's great.
But yeah, look, I mean, my only downfall with it was the volume on the headphones. I found that it was actually really low. That would probably be the one thing that was annoying for me. It wasn't a deal breaker because I can see the signal on the LCD screen, which is well lit. But it would have been nice to have a louder volume, especially for people who have been working in nightclub industries and bands and stuff like that. My ears are shot. So probably that doesn't help. But yeah, that's probably the one downfall. For you, I think there's one additional downfall that you have not picked up on. Which for me, I don't really care, but I'm sure you and your clients would really pick up on it. The fact that it's not ginormous, because your clients love to see big cameras and big rigs and big this and big, they'd be like, what is this? What is this shitty audio device?
There is a truth to that, because you go there with your matte box and your kick-ass lenses and your top monitor and people look at it and go, whoa, how cool is this rig? And, I mean, you might as well just strap a GoPro to it and it will probably be the same thing. But, it's, you're right. It is definitely true. People do notice the difference when it comes to size. But the GoPro was a killer. But well, there was a meme or something, wasn't it?
There
a
was
while back.
A fully rigged
fully rigged up GoPro with all the matte boxes
and V-lock batteries and monitors. And
it was so sick.
And I don't think it was anything was actually plugged up to it. It was just
it just looked cool.
The GoPro was just sitting behind.
If you looked really close,
it wasn't connected to the monitor. It wasn't connected to the V-lock. It had handles on it and rails and everything. It was just it was a bit funny, but
that's cool.
But yeah, you wouldn't see it. But I don't really think that any of the clients would really care about the audio side of things too much.
As long as it sounds good, man. That's what the main thing is about. So.
Yeah. Well, that's
cool.
pretty much it.
Thank you. Oh, thanks for sharing, mate. I appreciate you spending your hard-earned money to buy this thing, to tell us how good it is and what are worthwhile things about it. So, thank you, Evan.
No worries. And
I'll see you on the next episode.
Will you really?
I like to see you sometime. You don't really have a lot of time for me, but all right.
I'm sorry. And I apologize to everyone out there, because, we did promise we would have an episode every fortnight, and there's been times where, unfortunately, we've missed out because we do have family, we have work, we have, other commitments.
10 other million things. And this is non-paid gig for us, so this is more for a love for photography, videography, audio. We do this. So, yeah, it's good.
And also, finally, as a final farewell, big thank you to John at Video Guys. If you're ever down at Video Guys, say hi to John. Saying that we sent you.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll send us
for extra 100% off. I'm sorry, no, I didn't say that.
That distortion just
you can't recover that.
I can't. That's just. But seriously, thank you very much to everyone out there. Thanks to the Video Guys. Thanks, Marty, for having us at your house once again.
My studio, baby.
Wow.
Yeah, I love my house studio, man. It's great. It's my space, my man cave. I love it.
I'm going to sleep under your desk tonight. Good night from us.
Toodaloo.